Hey gang, East Coast Lumberjack. Sporting my Team Belgium shirt from Prague. When was that? 2019. This is the shirt that Cohen Martins wears. Thanks, buddy. So, today's video, hickory. Can you work it wet? Good question. So, typically my handles, I've made a bunch today. I work them dry. So I have a little moisture meter here. Okay, and I don't know what brand name it is. This is called moisture meter. It's a neat little rig. Now if I turn this on, go here, it's 11% moisture there, 11 there on the end, 7% on that end, 9% on this end. Okay, so usually I'm single digits. Okay, when it's my wood is dry enough to work. This one here, 9%. Okay. This one here, 20%. What's going on? 19%. So, this is the baby. Now I can tell it's the one that I've worked. You can see the little frills coming off of it here. The little, when you work with the bandsaw, there's lots of little curls that come off of it. Okay, because it's pretty wet. On the end, okay, I can show you something already here. Okay, 23% on the end. Now, so I took a piece of wood right off the pile and brought it in and I cut it out. Now, I want to show you a few things. Number one, can't quite see this end too well. There's a little check coming right there. You'll be able to see it if I hold it this way. Okay, you can see it right there. Get that line coming down here. On this end, can you see it right there? Okay. So another check right there. So what I need to do, what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to put some linseed oil in this. So I didn't because I wanted to see, okay, what'll happen. And I knew what would happen. Hickory is a dense wood. And because it's so dense, if you cut it and expose it to dry conditions, when it's got a lot of moisture, especially above 20%, it'll check. So right now, I'm taking my end, I'm just putting some, this is boiled linseed oil, and I'm going to coat the end of it. Okay, you can see here I'm coating the end of it. So what I'm doing, I'm filling those little pores with linseed oil. And hopefully what that'll do is that's going to prevent any further checking. And I put that on and I can see it's absorbed in it already. So it's sucking that in from the end. But I've already got a check here and it comes down here about 2 inches already. So I was pretty sure this is what would happen. Sacrificed a beautiful piece of hickory for it for the test. Well, that's all right. So, can you work wet hickory? Now, as far as straightness goes, it is just as straight as a die. Okay, so that's a good thing. So let's put I'm going to put a little hook in it. I'm going to hang it up back here behind me. Okay, now I'll go on the left-hand side of the door because it's a #1 handle right now. But it's straight. Okay, so the other thing I know I need to do, I need to put on this what the date is. So this is June 24th. And it is 20 plus moisture content. So I've got it labeled so I know. Okay, so that's a date, 20% moisture content. I'm going to hang it here. Now, if you remember, now the reason I put the date on that is because I didn't on this one. Now this was one that had a lot of sweep in it, and I straightened it. Now it's been at least 4 months since I did that video, and that is almost perfectly straight. So I straightened this, if you remember, on the bench, because it swept, and I can see the arrows here, so it swept out this way. That's the way it swept before. And if anything, it's still the other way, but it's straight as a die. So I remember we straightened that, and I hung it back up on the hook, and it is still as straight as a die. Okay, so this here is living proof. You can straighten a hickory handle, and it'll stay straight. Okay, that's what I did with this one. We even marked on it sweep. We bent it around, hung it back up on this hook, and it's been here now for 4 or 5 months, and it's still straight. Okay, great example. So, what I did, so I'll bring you out here and show you what I did. So I split a bunch of hickory wood out, and it doesn't have the bark on it. Okay, and I brought it in here. So we've got 2, 4, 6, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, 64. So I have 64 pieces here. And of course it's here with my winter firewood. I usually don't keep much wood in here in the summertime. But I've got this running, okay, dehumidifier. And it says right now we're at 50% relative humidity in the basement. So it's running non-stop right now. I dump it probably once a day. I'm going to see if this dehumidifier will bring this stuff down, okay? And the handle on the bench is from this wood. And remember, it was, now I'll get my moisture meter and we'll go back out. But this handle here was plus 20. It was 21 to 23% moisture content. These ones here will be very similar, because this piece of wood came right out of this pile. All right, so here it is. So this one here, 21. This one here, 23. This one here, 23. This one down here, 27. 27. Oop, that one went in. 28. You can feel the moisture in this one. 26. Okay. So I do see there's a little check in this here right on the end, right there. Couple there. Now there was no checks in that when I brought it in. There's another little check right there. Okay, so I'm going to watch this, because this may not be a smart idea. So I got to keep my eye on it. Seriously, because if it starts drying it out too fast, again, I figured with that one there, it's gonna, oh, that's a split. That's from outside. I figure where it's fairly cool and damp in the basement here, that is probably the best place for that wood. But I got to keep my eye on it, because if it starts checking badly, I've got to get it out of here in some other place. And I've been down to the barn to check on my hickory down there, and it's still pretty decent. So there's no big checks in it. Of course, I sprayed the ends, if you recall. I sprayed the ends with Crown. So I put basically an oil-based product on the ends of it to kind of seal the ends so it doesn't lose moisture too quickly. Okay, I want to salvage it. I got $4,000 worth of hickory wood still laying in my driveway that I'm processing. So today is a wicked hot and humid day outside there. So as far as projects go, This is a funny looking little axe. Remember, I did the shout out a little short saying, whose axe is this? Well, I found out. I know whose it is now. Thanks, Jeff. And I will get a handle on this. This is actually, I looked at it closely. It's a Walters. So the funny little droop down here, this was, and it was pressed. If you look at the end of it here, you can see where the two halves of metal were actually forged together. Sorry, it wasn't forged, it was pounded together. So this is an old Walters axe. It says Walters right there. Walters. So that's New Brunswick company. So I will take that out. It's been beat up pretty bad. Like it has taken some abuse. But I'm going to clean it up. And I've got a little, I've got a cruiser handle roughed out for it right now. Just got to finish it. And I've got some other orders. I got an order for Australia. This French curve. Okay, and it's a beauty. It came out really nice. Really nice French curve. Straight as a die. Pretty big, pretty rugged. It's a 33 incher. So I need to finish that up. And then I've got another special order. So this was a special order axe. A guy had a picture of it. It came down and it sweeps in quite a lot. So I just went from the picture, made that for him. And then of course I've got a lot of chopping axe handles. So that's what's on the bench here today is chopping axe handles, the double bitter, and then a couple of special orders. So we're going to come back and check out that hickory handle and the hickory pile. So again, I'll put these two back to back. I'll video it again in a week's time, and I'll say, okay, we're a week dead. So today is June the 24th, and we've looked at what it looks like right now. I'll keep my eye on it. We'll come back in a week and film. We'll come back in a week and film, and see how it changes over time. Hey, East Coast Lumberjack, and remember I put a short up here a while ago. Said, "Who help? Whose axe is this?" Well, I guess what? It worked, and we found the owner. So it's actually it's my partner in crime for hickory, Jeff Zoe. It came from up in Stanley. It's his father-in-law's, and it's a Walters axe. So anyways, we did a little work to it. So here it is here. So there's the old handle out of it. So he just took an old pole axe and he cut the end off because it has a small eye. It's a Walters axe, and you can see, actually, Jeff, show them where it's folded over. You can see where this was forged, and you can see the splits. See the splits right here on each side of it? That was forged together like that to hold that axe together. This is an old axe. This is first generation axe, Walters. So it's a New Brunswick axe, and we got her all polished up. Show them the shine there, Jeff.
Beautiful.
We put an edge on it. We put just so you guys know, for the proper double bitters, used to have a thin felling edge on one side and then a stouter, thicker edge on the other for limbing, for those hard knots in fir and spruce. So that's how we've actually followed this the same way, ground it out, nice and thin on one side for felling. Jeff may hang up the husk barn and go to work in the woods with it.
I told him I couldn't do it justice.
So anyways, that's the latest project. We put a 29-inch hickory handle in it. And it's a hickory heartwood handle, so it's nice and dark. She's a pretty looking handle.
Beautiful.
Yep. So anyway, she's all set, ready to roll. So Jeff says she's a camp axe. But she's going to ride back and forth. So anyways, that's this week's project. Okay, so we've returned. This is the continuation. So on June 24th we were down and we checked out some handles. So again, the one that we put here, and it was 4 months ago now at least, and we straightened it, it's still pretty darn straight. So I had arrows on this that shows where the sweep was. So this handle, there's one there, so it was swept this way. Okay? We put it under the vise and straightened it. We cranked on it and we straightened it out, and it is still straight. Okay? So, living proof that you can straighten a handle. Okay? A hickory handle. So sometimes, if you get a hickory handle and it's got a bend in it, straighten it. Okay? And it's done all the time. Okay? We do this with wood. We make snowshoes this way. They make lacrosse things this way. Like they do a lot. You know, sometimes they steam them, but you can bend wood, okay, and you can bend it back. And this one here is proof that that's what you can do. So, and I did that for a reason, okay, to show people that if you get, and I know in my instructions I say, listen, if you get a bend handle, straighten it, okay, straighten it where the bend is, and you can do that. So the second one we looked at. So 2 weeks ago, I made this one here, and it was wet, okay? It was over 20% moisture. Now, I don't make handles. It's funny. The guy that taught me how to make handles, Bob Hetherington, loved working his wood wet. And he would actually take his ash, he had a little tray built, and he would lay his handles, if it was dry wood, in the tray and wet it down and work the wood wet. That's how he was used to working wood. It's funny. He taught me how to make handles, but I much prefer making handles dry. So this is the one I cut. It was 20, right around 25% moisture content when I started making it. And then we measured it on video here on this earlier video, and it was just right around 20%. So now we're going to turn on our moisture meter, and we're going to see where we're at now. Not talking to me. What's going on here? There we go. 8%. Okay, that's where I'm usually at. Okay, 8%. This one here, 6% on this end. Right here, 11%. So that's almost double digits there. 9% here, and on this end that we put 11%. Okay, so it's almost double digits everywhere. But now what I wanted to do, I wanted to show you this check that had started here. Okay, so I put some linseed oil on it, stopped it in its tracks. You can see there's a little bit of a line here, but it's not much. It didn't go very deep. So the linseed oil worked. On this end here, we were worried about it starting on this end. It's gone no farther. The check has gone no farther on this end. Okay? So, that's good news. Because I always want to know, if I take one of those pieces of hickory wood and I make a handle out of it, what's going to happen to it eventually? Like if I send it out to somebody. So, that's just a surface check right there, which is nice. But because hickory wood is so darn dense, what happens is that moisture starts pulling out on the ends. And as that moisture pulls out on the ends and the cells start shrinking, 3 or 4 groups of those cells will actually all shrink up together tight. And then, of course, on the other side, they do the same thing. And then that's what causes that check in the middle, is you've got shrinking cells on both sides. And then if there's a weak spot between the cell growth, that's where that check will happen. Now, again, weak. Weak for some wood. I mean, hickory's a pretty flippin' tough piece of wood, so let's go out and check our pile. This is the last thing we want to do. We'll see. Dehumidifier still working. It says 55% relative humidity here. So let's set us down. Set you guys down. So, drying checks. This here, it's a pretty substantial check in this piece of wood right here. I want to bring you over and show you that. Okay, so that one did split out, and there's another drying check right here, and you can see it's in the middle. Okay, so that piece of wood, and that goes in there. How far? Ooh, not far. It only goes in there about 2 inches. So that's good news, because I usually cut 2 or 3 inches off of that when I go to make my handle. There's a little drying check here in this one. But all the rest, a little one here. Actually, there's 2 over here. So there is. Okay, so there's a little bit of drying check here. Okay, this one's got a couple in it. That one doesn't go very deep. It only goes about 1 inch. There's 2 little ones right here on this wood. Okay, you can see those. How far do they go? This one goes to here. This one goes to here. So not bad. Not bad at all. Let's see where we're at with moisture. Okay, I want to see where we're at here. So if it's checking like that, 11%. This one here, 16%. That one's still holding on a little bit. 13%. 16%. 16%. 16%. What's this one? My machine's not working. There we go. Still not working. There we go. 18. 18. So the one's down lower. Whoop, that one went in. 18. 19. 18. So, couple things, I guess. Number one, we know because there's checks coming in the wood that obviously it's drying, which is a good thing. So the water is coming out of it. The checks are not too bad that it's going to cause me problems in the handles. So that's a good thing. So I think I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm going to keep the dehumidifier running, keep pulling the moisture out of this stuff, because this may work for me. So I will be able, and of course the good news is I'm almost out of my old hickory, and then I got to start getting into this new hickory. So it's that transition I'm worried about. Is when do I start jumping into the new pile of hickory wood and making handles so that they stay straight and don't check to pieces when I send them to people. So that's what this whole test is about. And the good news is it looks pretty good right now. Looks pretty promising. I got to keep on my dehumidifier a little bit more. This one, there's a little bit of moisture. Pull this one out. Yeah, in the middle of the pile here, there's a fair bit of moisture on that handle, on that blank. What's it say? 19%. So what I may have to do, I may have to stand these up individually. So I have them stacked, and I have them stacked like this. Number one, so they don't take up a ton of room. Number two, I leave enough airspace that I thought the air could get between it, but apparently it's holding some moisture in the middle of this stack. So I may have to stand it up all along the wood pile here, or do something a little bit different to dry them out a little bit more. So now typically I only use a couple off the top of the pile at a time, so the ones on the top you can feel are pretty dry. So hopefully if I do that just a bit at a time, the ones below will dry out. So good news, and again, these ones haven't been treated. The ends of these have not been treated at all. So the moisture can come out. Again, if you stand a block of wood up, the moisture will run down the piece of wood, and you'll be dry at the top, and you'll have a lot of higher moisture content at the bottom of your handle if you stack them that way. That's why mine are laying down. So it's a slower process of getting the moisture out of your hickory wood, and it causes it to be a lot more stable. Okay, the moisture comes out slower, and the wood doesn't check and do things that hickory does. So I've had good luck with this. This is the first time I've tried to bring it inside and use a dehumidifier to dry it out. Usually it's upstairs in the garage, and that's working pretty good. The wood I have stored upstairs in the garage. Let's take a run out and check out the garage. So it's July 9th. This was my mom's birthday, Nellie Bell. She's no longer with us. I miss her. I think about her a lot. So there's where the wood was here by the steps. There was 9 logs there. It's gone. There was logs laying here. Gone. Okay, all the split stuff, gone. It's all upstairs. Actually, I'll show you upstairs in the barn where I threw it up. All I have left here is this smoke wood, and there's quite a pile of it. And I need to get a hold of that guy again, because hopefully that's going to take off and go to St. John, to a guy down there that builds smokers. But I want to show you how things are going upstairs here in the barn. So So I threw the last of it up here this morning. So that's all the shag bark, and it's all there. So here's my hickory wood. Okay, and this is from the last two. This is from the last two loads to Quebec. So this is a load that I have marked. So all the log numbers are on the end of this. I know where this stuff originated. And you can see it's been in here for, well, what is it now? I got it back in February, March. So it's been in here for 4 months. There's no drying checks in it. So it's the moisture's come out very slowly. Let's see what it says here. 11%. This one here. 10, 11%. This one here. 7%. This guy. 11%. 11%. So that's good. So this stuff here is almost ready to use. Okay, it's almost down to single digits. This stuff just come up. I know it's going to be 15% there, 16% there, 16% there, 18% there. So this stuff here is still just, again, slowly coming down, which is good. This stuff here is almost ready to use. So that's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. I'd like to take a few of those out on the, let's see, maybe one will come out. I want to check in the middle. 9%, son of a gun. In here. 9%. Son of a gun. So I thought in the middle it might be a little bit higher moisture content, but it looks pretty good. So it's working great. The long and the short of it is, we're gonna have hickory wood that's ready to use in no time. So that's kind of good for me. So the only other place we need to check is the barn. I've got a pile of wood down there, but we've been down there several times. So anyways, it's looking pretty good. The wood is processed, it's in its drying, and it looks like we're going to be able to jump into it pretty darn quick. So lots this week on drying wood, the hickory wood, and again in summertime, which is a delicate time for hickory, as you know, as we've been talking about. So the good news is we've got hickory everywhere here drying. I've got lots of ash. Ashes, it dries in a month. It's fine. And the hickory looks like it's coming. I usually dry it for a year. So I just store it there and leave it and don't really pay much attention to it. So this is the first time I've really been at it with a moisture meter every couple of weeks and see how quickly it's dropping in percentages. So we know when I was splitting it out outside, it was around 30%, almost 30% moisture content in a lot of the logs. Right now, even though it's been inside for a month or two, it's right around still double digits, 16% some of it. Stuff that's been in there from the winter load that I brought is down. It's almost in the single digits. So that's good news. So the question is that the whole length of it, and what is it like when it's in the middle? So what we'll do here in a week or two is I'll take one of those ones that's single digits all the way around on both ends and in the middle, and I will cut it out downstairs in the bandsaw, and I think you'll see that it'll likely be up into the double digits. So the issue I've had in the past is when I work my hickory too early. So if I don't let it dry for a year and I start processing it, sometimes when I process it on the bench and I start looking at it, I can feel when it's wet. When the bandsaw is running through it, I show you that on the first part of this video, you can see those little curls and stuff that come off. So if it's dry, you don't get that. It's clean the whole length of it. But if it's wet, you'll get those little curls on there. And I know it's wet wood then. So number one, it's harder to work with a spoke shave. Okay, I don't like working hickory with a spoke shave when it's a little bit wet. Double digits. It works tougher then. And then when you rasp it, you clog your rasp. All you're doing is cleaning your rasp all the time. It drives you nuts. Not that you can't do it. And then the third thing that happens is I almost want to linseed oil the whole handle because I know there's still moisture in that. It's double digits. It can still drop by, 5, 6, 7% moisture. So if I send a handle like that to Texas or to Oklahoma or someplace where it's typically quite dry, you run the risk of it checking, and there's nothing worse than it. It's guys will say it's split. Well, it's a drying check is what it is. It's not split because it was one piece when it left here. But I just hate that happening. So it's happened on me once or twice when somebody's wanted a handle and they're in a big panic, and of course all I have is stuff that's not been dried for a year, and I send that out, and sometimes that happens. And usually when it happens on the bench. So I notice it before it goes out because I make the handle, I leave it on the bench for a little bit. I coat the ends with linseed oil, and that keeps the ends from checking usually. But sometimes it will check. There's just that much moisture still needs to come out. And it drives me nuts because it's not a number one handle. I'm not sending it out, even though it might be a beautiful handle. And you can do things, and I'll talk about repairs those, because you can, if you have a check on the end, you can actually drill it, put a screw in it, plastic wood it over again. It's fine, and it'll last. That handle will be fine for the life of the handle, but it doesn't look good, and it's not a perfect handle. And of course, a guy like me that's anal drives me bananas. So that's why I'm doing all this. You're probably wondering, what in the world is all this? Well, that's what it's all about. Okay, the whole thing is about when can I use the wood? How long does the hickory take to dry? And when can I jump in and use it and know that it's going to be a stable handle and nothing's gonna check down the road? So that's what I'm doing all this about right now. So anyways, we've answered a number of different questions today. It's actually drying a lot faster than I thought it would, and a lot more consistent, which is quite nice. So anyways, I think before the end of the summer, because my hickory will run out, I think I've got about 30 or 40 blanks out. I found a few more out in the barn, so I was actually good. Actually, and of course I put the price of my handles up, so that slowed the hickory flow down a little bit. So I need to drop, now that I got a good stash of hickory, I'll do the math. I think I could drop my handles back down to $50. And we'll go again. Nobody ever drops their prices, but the East Coast Lumberjacks about to. Anyhow, so that's this week's video. Join us again next week. Lots more coming at you.